there's a stationary default camera in each comp. But if you want to move the viewpoint, you need to create a new camera. The camera at the top of your timeline will be the camera that is used for rendering your movie. Let's go to Layer, New, Camera. This is a 2-node camera, which means you have settings for the position of the camera itself, as well as the center of what the viewer sees. This is good for orbiting views, and we're going to do an orbiting view, so this is what we're going to use. Here are some common camera focal point settings. So a 35mm is a common wide-angle lens, and that would be slightly fisheye. A 50mm lens is the normal lens that most closely resembles the kind of image you see through your eyes. A 135mm is a common telephoto lens, like you might see used at sporting events like football games or soccer. When you use a telephoto lens, you can see things far away at almost the same scale as something close to you, so the perspective is kind of weird. But it's really good to be able to see where the ball is going when people are moving very quickly. We're going to use the 50mm lens. And then the depth of field is something that you probably want to leave off until you have a little more experience with it. Leave the settings that they've got for defaults for the units and the measuring film size. And now I'm going to say OK and Command S to save that. And now we're going to do something that's called creating an orbit null. We're going to put in a null, which is an empty layer that you can use to control other layers. It has settings for position, but it doesn't have any image. So I'm going to use a camera orbit null. So I'm going to go down to camera, go down to camera, and I'm going to create an orbit null. So this is your orbit null. Now what we're going to do is we're not going to move the camera. We're going to move the null. And the null will control the camera because you can see it's parented to the null. So now I'm going to set up the position for the null, and I'm going to use rotation. I'm going to keyframe the rotation so I can move the camera. So I'm on the null, and I'm going to press R, and I'm going to set a keyframe. So the first frame, I'm going to keyframe the Y rotation, and I'm going to set the first frame to be -60 degrees. So now we're all the way on one side of the stage. I'm going to take my CTI to the end, and I'm going to change this to +60 degrees. I'm going to Command S, and then I'm going to press the space bar to preview. So that's nice, but to give it a little bit more interest, I'm going to click on the Y rotation, which will select both of the keyframes at the same time. And now I'm going to press F9. F9 is the keyboard shortcut for easy ease, so that will add some easing to it. So it will start out slow and speed up, and then it will slow down again. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so that is the camera tutorial. Command S.